Yes. Thank you very much. I just want to make sure, Patricia, I just want to make sure let's get Patricia at the same time.
Please rise.
Okay, please be seated. Scheduling today. All judges, that way doesn't sound. All the judges assigned to the criminal division have to go to the seminar. With that being said, Madam Clerk, speak with jury.
We had a discussion with regards to the 18th. No one has a conflict except for juror number 7, who has a conflict, but if we could do a hard stop at 3, she can go in.
You do that. We'll go to 3 o'clock that day.
Also, if they can have an updated calendar for their employers.
Sure. I'll redo what we've done. I'm just going to pick up when we started. We started in April. I'm not going to give you April. I'll just give you the month May. All right, and I'll reflect those days we've been here and the days we've been speaking. All right. Thank you very much. So, counsel, we will be here together on the 18th.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, the state's going to call Patricia Talaine.
May I ask you to come and stay right for the 30th time?
State your name for the record. Patricia Talaine. Do you swear or affirm testimony that you shall give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Actually, I think it's good morning.
Still good morning, yes.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, are you currently employed?
I am not. I recently retired
And where were you working at the time of your retirement?
at the Camden County Prosecutor's Office
How long did you work at the prosecutor's office?
since October 7th, 1996.
What were you initially hired as?
A detective.
And what was your rank at the time of your retirement?
Captain.
When you were hired by the Camden County Prosecutor's Office, did you have previous law enforcement experience?
I did. I was hired by Rutgers University Police Department in 1991 as a patrolman. I worked there as a patrolman for 3 years, and I was promoted to sergeant. I worked the capacity of a sergeant for 3 years before going back to the prosecutor's office.
In October of 2015, which unit were you assigned to within the prosecutor's office?
The homicide unit.
And specifically, what was your assignment with that unit?
I was the unit commander. I was the lieutenant unit commander of the homicide unit.
And can you describe your duties as the unit commander of the homicide unit?
I supervise the sergeants and the detectives and basically make sure that these detectives and the sergeants have everything they need in order to run an efficient investigation. I also have responsibility to notify chain of command, captain, prosecutors, bosses.
With regard to ongoing investigations?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to ask you to direct your attention to Tuesday, October the 13th of 2015. Were you working that day?
I was.
At some point that morning, were you advised of a missing child?
I was on my way in. As I was coming in, I received a phone call from Sergeant Saunders.
Approximately what time were you notified?
About 8 a.m.
And what was the location that was reported to you?
Haddon Township. Sergeant Saunders advised that there was a missing child that was reported out of Haddon Township.
And what was your understanding of the situation at that time?
That a 3-year-old child had been reported missing by his father out of an apartment in Haddon Township, and that there had been a cart activation, and that major crimes and child abuse had been, SVU had been out on the scene looking for this baby.
Okay. And who was your contact person to stay abreast of the situation?
I requested Sergeant Saunders to keep me updated.
Did you make any notifications at that time when Brendan was listed as missing?
I did.
Okay, who did you notify?
I notified the duty sergeant, at the time was Sergeant King,
Okay.
and Detective Rhodes was the on-call first out detective, so I made sure that they were both notified of this missing child.
Right. At some point, were you updated and advised that the missing child had been found?
Yes.
What did you do when you received that notification?
I received that call from Sergeant Saunders, and when I received that call, I again made sure that Sergeant King and Detective Rhodes were immediately notified to start heading out to Haddon Township.
And where did you yourself go?
I also went out to Haddon Township. I then notified Captain Townsend and made sure that he was also advised, so that our bosses could be advised that this child was found missing. Excuse me, was found deceased.
And did you travel out there to the scene yourself?
I did, ma'am.
Who did you go with?
I went with Captain Townsend.
And did anyone else from the homicide unit go with you?
Yes, Sergeant King and Detective Rhodes, and I believe Detective Simpson also. They were in the car behind us.
So where did you go?
We responded to where Brendan was found, where the baby was found in South Park, Haddon Township.
Right to Cooper River Park?
Yes, ma'am.
And at some point in getting there or in these notifications, did you learn the identity of the child was identified as Brendan Creato?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long did it take you to travel there from your office here in the city?
10 to 15 minutes at the most.
And what was the situation at the park when you arrived?
Everything had been sealed off and the area had been secured by Haddon Township Police Department. When I got there, as soon as I got out of the car, I met with Sergeant Johnson from Haddon Township Police Department. He directed me as to what had occurred, what had, up to that point, what had happened.
Okay, so you got an update on the situation when you arrived? And were you able to travel down to the location where Brendan was found?
Yes.
How did you find your way down there?
Sergeant Johnson walked us down, both myself and the detectives, the sergeant and the captain.
Can you explain for the jury, at this point, why was the homicide unit involved once Brendan's body had been located?
Because he was a baby, it's considered a suspicious death at this point, so yes, anything that's suspicious, unexplainable, the homicide unit would investigate.
Okay, even though there hasn't been a ruling on homicide or anything like that?
No, homicide goes down on anything that's suspicious. If detectives go out on any case such as major crimes, if anything's a suspicious death, be it an adult, a child, anybody, if there's any question as to the death, how it occurred, homicide would respond.
Right, so at this point, who's in command of the scene at Cooper River Park?
I was.
Did you have an opportunity to observe Brendan in the creek?
I did.
And were you still on that scene when he was removed from the water?
I was.
Would you recall who removed him from the water?
Detective Ellis. He handed the baby to Detective Milano.
And Detective Ellis and Detective Milano, which unit were they assigned to in the prosecutor's
I'm
office?
sorry, they're assigned to the crime scene unit.
Let me back up just a little bit. When you arrived out there, other than speaking with Sergeant Johnson from Haddon Township Police, were there other law enforcement officers already on scene?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you give us an idea of who was out there at the time?
There's members from Collinswood Police Department, Haddon Township, DRPA, any local law enforcement that was available. There was numerous law enforcement officers out there.
And was there also personnel there from the prosecutor's office?
I'm sorry, yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you recall seeing the supervisor of the crime scene unit there?
I did, Sergeant Norcross. He had been called out for the card activation, so
Okay.
he was out on the scene already.
How long did you remain on the scene in Cooper River Park?
Approximately an hour.
During that time, did you have an opportunity to observe Brendan in the water? Okay, do you recall what he was wearing?
Wearing pajamas, socks. Diaper on.
And based on your observations, did you draw any conclusions with regard to the water level during the time that Brendan was in the water?
Well, when we got there, his hands and his lower body had been submerged in water, and just his head was partially out. But you could see on his pajamas, because they were white, you could see the soot, you could see where the water level, I mean, his head was a little damp as well.
Okay.
So you could see where the water level, where the water level was.
And do you recall seeing some silt lines along his face as well?
I did.
And what did you conclude based on that?
That the water level had reached that level that left the mark, so it had reached up to his face. Where the soot had been.
Now, you testified you're the unit commander of the homicide unit, correct?
Yes, I was.
So you supervise the overall investigation, correct?
I do, ma'am.
I have a question for you about the pajamas and based on what you saw there. To your knowledge, were the pajamas ever sent to the New Jersey State Police Lab for any kind of forensic testing?
I don't believe they were.
Okay. Did you request that?
No, but I probably should have oversaw that and made sure they were sent. So, but they weren't sent.
Okay. In your experience as the unit commander of the homicide unit, when there's evidence or anything that's been submerged in water, is that stuff usually sent to the lab?
No, it is not.
Why is that?
Because it's submerged in water and there would be no evidence in it. Because of it being submerged in water. And it appeared clearly by the water level that was on his face and that he was still submerged in water when we found him. That he had been in there for quite a while.
Okay. Did you notice anything, you started to say about the position of his hands. Do you recall what the position of his hands was?
They were both submerged in water.
Okay. And were they facing palm up?
I believe calm down, I don't know.
Do you recall seeing, I think you called it soot, I would call it silt, but we're referring to like a dirty substance in the water, correct?
You know, when you're in less than water, when you take your hands out, there's like, things like a silt mark on your
Okay. But he had silt gathered on his pajamas and his arms and his legs and his hands.
Yes.
And did that indicate to you that he had been there for a while?
Yes, ma'am.
So how long were you out at the Cooper River scene altogether?
Approximately an hour. Are you talking about?
At the Cooper River scene?
Yes.
Okay, approximately an hour. And did you do anything before you left that scene? Did you leave any instructions?
I did. I won a secondary canvas on the woods surrounding where Brandon was found in a field
Okay.
adjacent to where
So when you left the scene, who did you designate to be in charge of that scene?
crime scene.
And when you left that scene, where did you go?
I went to Cooper Street, to the apartment where the child was reported missing.
Did you recall what the address of that apartment was?
It's 103D, apartment D, Cooper Street.
And where did you report when you arrived?
To the mobile command center, on the intersection of Virginia and Cooper.
Okay. And what happened at that time?
I met with Sergeant Pizzano, who at that time was the park supervisor, and I wanted an update as to what had been done, what had been conducted, and who had been interviewed. And I made sure that the scene, actually, when I was still at Cooper Street down the water, I spoke to Sergeant Saunders and made sure that the apartment was secure, that no one was to go in and out of the apartment, and that there was a vehicle found out front, and that vehicle was to be cordoned off. No one was to search anything else until I got up to the location.
Okay. Did those locations appear to be secured when you
Yes,
arrived?
they were.
Did you receive any updates when you arrived? Were you at the command center?
Yes.
Okay. Other than securing the apartment as well as the vehicle, did you issue any other directions once you were on Cooper Street?
Yes, I wanted a canvass conducted while we still had all the CART members and the CCPO detectives out at the scene.
And what areas did you want canvassed?
I wanted the area that the dog had tracked, I should have backtracked as well. DRPA, the child was found with the assistance of the DRPA's dog. So I wanted that area that the child, where the dog had been tracking, to be interviewed, that whole entire, so that whole section of Cooper Street all the way down to South Park. I wanted that 2 blocks in and up to Haddon Avenue to be recanvassed and any of the houses not found and any interviews conducted.
And what specifically or the people conducting the personnel conducting the canvass to look for?
Anyone that had any information, saw anything, heard anything, and video cameras, any potential video cameras.
All right, so what would happen if someone reported seeing or hearing anything?
They would have been transported immediately to the prosecutor's office and interviewed by homicide detectives.
How long did you remain on the scene at the command post?
I don't believe I left.
Okay.
A search warrant was conducted, and I remained on that scene until the search warrant was conducted.
All right. Did you, at any time that day, did you return to get onto the scene at Cooper River?
I did.
Why did you do that?
I showed the prosecutors the location and the direction of travel that the dog had tracked, and I wanted them to physically see the direction and the distance that and where the child was found.
Okay. And was there anything about path of travel that you had to get down to the creek that you wanted the attorneys and the homicide unit to see?
I wanted to show how difficult it was to actually get down to where this child was found.
And then did you return to that scene again very early the next morning?
I did.
Okay. And who did you go there with?
About 4 o'clock in the morning, I met with Sergeant Norcross, Detective Ellis, and I met you as well at Preston.
Okay, and just for your information, the jury has seen the videotape of that walk. I would like you to describe for them, if you could, how trying to get down there at night compared to getting down there during the day.
It was extremely difficult. Pitch black. It's dark in enclosed woods, so there's no street lights. Once you get street lights to down Cooper Street, it's pretty, it's okay lit. It's housing and has street lights, so walking down Cooper Street. But once you get to the top of the path that leads down to where, there's a path that leads down to where this widow is found, goes to an open field, and goes to some woods down. Very dark, extremely dark.
Okay, could I have just a moment, Judge? Before I move on, I just wanted to clarify one thing because I'm not sure I understood you correctly. And this is with regard to testing of the pajamas that you saw Brendan wearing when he was in the ward. Did you indicate that you would or would not have had those tested at the lab?
I would not have.
Okay. And tell us again why that is?
Because the pajamas were submerged in water.
Okay.
But I didn't feel that there would be any evidence in those pajamas.
Okay, during the course of overseeing this entire investigation, did you have occasion to request assistance from other units?
I did.
Okay, and does the Cameron County Prosecutor's Office have a Megan's Law unit?
We do, ma'am.
And can you tell us what the Megan's Law unit does?
Megan's Law unit supervises all registered sex offenders throughout Camden County.
And during this investigation, did you make any requests of the Megan's Law unit?
I did.
What did you ask them for?
I requested the registered sex offenders in Haddon Township.
And did you receive a list of those registered sex offenders?
I did, ma'am.
How many were on the list?
I believe approximately 15.
And were all 15 of those individuals registered under Megan's Law in Haddon Township interviewed?
Yes, ma'am.
And who conducted those interviews?
Sergeant Hunsinger and myself were one team. Detective Longo and Sergeant Simpson were another team.
Okay, they're all members of the homicide unit who you
Yes.
supervise? Okay, and in total, approximately how many interviews did you conduct?
I'd say,
Well, I'm sorry, not you. How many were conducted altogether?
approximately 20.
Okay, and when were those interviews completed?
I would say a week after. That Friday, I requested the full list, I believe, so the 13th, the date was down, that Friday got the list, so the following Friday,
Okay.
I don't,
And how many, I'm sorry, you already said there were approximately 20, right? Once all those people were interviewed, was this portion of the investigation closed?
Yes.
And why was that?
Well, the autopsy had been completed and the evidence had been done, and there no evidence appeared that the baby had been sexually assaulted.
Okay.
And everybody that was on that registered sex offender list cooperated, provided statements, and, the interviews were productive. They were all forthright and
Were there any red flags raised by any of the
no
interviews?
red flags raised.
And in addition to the fact that there was no evidence of sexual assault, was there any indication at this point in the investigation that Brendan had been kidnapped from the apartment?
No.
I'm going to ask you to direct your attention to October the 26th of 2015. Was it your understanding that on that date that a 3-year-old child was going to make the same off that you made that night, and that was the same child that the K-9 unit took?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and the child was going to wear socks that were identical or similar in kind to the socks that Brendan was wearing when he was hit, correct?
Yes.
And do you know who bought those socks?
I bought those socks.
And who did you meet up with that day?
I met up with you, the child's mother, and Sergeant Norcross from the crime scene unit, and Detective Bolano from the crime scene unit.
And I'm just going to go over a few photos with you, Captain. These are already in evidence. Okay, at the start of the walk, was the child weighed?
Yes, she was.
Okay. And do you know where that scale came from?
That's from my house.
Okay. So you brought that with you to weigh the child?
I did.
Can we see the next one, please? Next photograph. This is exhibit 254 for the record. Are these the socks that you bought for the child to make the walk?
I did. It was cold out that morning, so
Okay.
I just put the socks over the shoes. I didn't make her walk in her bare feet.
Okay. And can we see 255? Okay. And we see, in addition to the fact that we're looking at the bottom of the sock, there's a leg there with jeans and a brown shoe. Who is that?
That would be me.
Okay. And can we see 256? So you photographed those socks before the child made the walk, correct?
I did.
257. During this time, again, it appears, is that your light in the photograph?
It is. I'm walking with the child.
Okay.
She's holding my hand.
Okay. And State's Exhibit 258, 259. Okay, and again, is that you in the photograph with the child?
It is.
Do you recall which portion of the walk this was?
This is as we're approaching to South Park, as we're approaching.
Okay, and at this point, the sidewalk had run out, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And can I see the 260? Again, here, do you recognize this photograph, where you were located at that time?
Yes,
Where are you?
that's the path that leads into the woods.
Okay.
So we crossed over off of Cooper, and we're on South Park.
Okay. Okay, and you just indicated that you left that path and crossed into the woods, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and do you see that there's still, obviously it's still the child, but that appears to be a different person who was with the child at that time. Do you recall who that was?
Yes.
Who is that?
That's the child's mother. When we got to the part of the woods, and although it was light out, she didn't want to hold my hand anymore. So she requested to hold her mother's hand, so her mother and I switched. But we continued to photograph the bottom of her feet.
And is that you holding up her foot again to take that last photograph?
It is.
I'm sorry, Judge, for the record, that one was 262. Red lights, please. Okay, as the investigation progressed through the rest of October and into November and December, can you tell us what was going on with the investigation?
Well, they're still conducting numerous interviews. All the forensic stuff was conducted. We used high-tech crimes unit. There's computers, Snapchat, Facebook, all of that stuff all had to be reviewed, physically by detectives and by the assistance of the high-tech crime unit, as well as crime scene additional.
Okay, and were detectives and assistant prosecutors also reviewing all the video surveillance that had been collected?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said, I think you said they were reviewing the forensic evidence. Are you referring to the digital forensic evidence?
Yes, I'm sorry.
As time went by, did the calls and tips that were being phoned in, did they come to a trickle and then stop?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and eventually was all the forensic data reviewed?
Yes.
And was there anything else, once that was completed, was there anything else of significance that you're aware of that occurred in the investigation?
No, ma'am.
I don't have anything else. Thank you, Catherine.
I missed this, I know you said. What time did you get to the scene at Cooper River Park where Brendan's body was?
I would say probably about 9 o'clock. So I got the phone call about maybe a little after 9 o'clock. I got the phone call about quarter to 9 perhaps, and we immediately responded.
And you said at that time you were able to tell, I'm sorry, I only said because I'm not you said at that time you noticed that it looked like the water level had gone down some from Brendan's face.
Yes.
Did you say how much?
A couple of inches because the back of his head had still been wet. He was submerged. So just maybe an inch or two.
Okay. You also said you remember seeing the silk on the pajamas. You remember the pajamas were white, right? With regard to these pajamas, I thought I heard you say when this show was questioning you that you probably should have overseen those pajamas being sent to the lab. Is that what you said?
Well, as the unit commander, you're responsible for the investigation, for the overall investigation. So, yes.
So you agree it's a problem that those pajamas never went to the lab, right?
No, I don't.
Okay, because you don't send wet clothes to the lab because they don't have any evidence on them, right?
Well, they were processed by crime scene, so after Detective Rummel processed those pajamas, and they were submerged, a decision was made not to send them.
So you said you probably should have overseen that. You didn't oversee it?
I did oversee it.
Then what do you mean by probably? I don't understand. I'm not trying to get far.
No, you're not being difficult. No, I mean, if you want to look back on any type of investigation, there's a lot of things that, it's easier to say now if we had just sent those and sent the crime scene to State Police Lab, and State Police Lab would say, these pajamas are submerged, there would be no DNA evidence on them. It would be easier for us to sit on the stand and say, yes, we submitted them to State Police Lab and they agreed not to test them. But in my experience as a detective and as a sergeant and as a lieutenant, my history with the State Police Lab is they wouldn't have tested it. They would have said these pajamas were submerged and that there would be no DNA evidence in these pajamas. And also, during the course of this investigation, there was no signs that he had been physically sexually assaulted. So there would be no significant DNA evidence found on this. So ultimately, though, the responsibility falls on me. So no, I did not send those.
So you're saying you made a mistake or you didn't?
No, I wouldn't say we made a mistake. I'm not going to say we made a mistake. But it would be easier for me to answer that if we just said to you, yes, we sent it to the State Police Lab, and they said, well, the pajamas were submerged, so there would be no DNA evidence, so they wouldn't have tested them.
So Detective Rummel said he didn't look or process the pajamas for trace evidence because they were getting sent to the lab. That would have been a mistake.
Say that again.
If Detective Rummel testified.
I'm going to object. I don't think it's appropriate for one witness to comment on another witness's testimony.
Right, it's the record of the
I'm going to allow it. I'm going to allow this.
If Detective Rummel had said he didn't use a magnifying glass or look for trace evidence or anything like that on the pajamas because they'd be going to the lab, that would be a mistake?
No, he would, no, that's not a mistake. He would, I'm sure Detective Rummel would have planned on sending them to the lab.
Even though you never said send wet stuff to the lab?
Well, At this point, we were still going on ongoing investigation, so it wasn't until we realized, after the autopsy had been conducted, and there's communications that goes on between,
Sure, Pat, you said in your entire career as a lieutenant, as a sergeant, as a detective, your prior experience, you never sent that stuff. So
I
why
would
would
say
you
never.
send that?
If I said never, I misspoke. If there's
It
evidence
makes you
that
have-
leads to us to need to send that, if anything in the investigation led us to believe that those pajamas needed to be tested for DNA, they would have been submitted. Sometimes that's done even later in the investigation. So at any point, up until the date that this trial started, we could send that those pajamas to the DNA lab to have them tested.
So, then again, Captain, if a Christina Nipper from the New Jersey State Police Lab was qualified in this courtroom today as an expert and testified that, well, you can get DNA evidence from wet items, she'd be wrong. Okay. Captain, of all the people that were canvassed, up and down Cooper Street and 2 blocks out and down to Haddon Avenue, people did indicate that they heard and seen different things, right?
Correct.
Someone reported a man with a wheelie bag, right?
Correct.
Someone reported a man pushing a stroller, right?
Correct.
No one saw DJ Creato driving or walking with his son any time of the night, right? No video surveillance captured it, right? Nothing like that. The day that you were at the scene, conducting these canvasses and monitoring the search of vehicles and apartments, you said that you returned back to Cooper River Park with attorneys from the Camden County Prosecutor's Office.
I did.
Was it a shop?
Yes, it was.
And that was the day that this happened.
Yes, sir.
Now, I understand from your testimonies that homicide investigators respond to any suspicious or unattended death, right?
Correct.
Is that also true for a prosecuting lawyer? Do they always show up to all of these?
Not all of them, but some of them they do. When a baby is found, yes.
But it's definitely happened in this one.
Yes.
And you returned there in the night, you said.
I did.
You said it's pitch black.
Actually, it was technically the following morning. It was 4 a.m. the following morning.
And it was pitch black.
Yes.
You could not get down there without a flashlight, right?
No, we did. We walked down without a flashlight.
You did.
We did.
So,
Treacherously, yes, we did.
so it would be possible for a person to walk down there with no flashlight.
Yes.
This sock test that was conducted, you put the socks on over the shoes, right?
Yes.
And the shoes were regular rubber soles with a little tread on them.
Yes.
And so, over the course of the walk, these socks break, right?
Well, but any typical child, they don't actually pick up their feet. They tend to drag their feet. And it was a long distance for a child to walk. So, yes.
Well, respectfully, Captain, you don't know why they frayed. You don't know if it's because she shuffled a little when she walked, or if it's because there was a rubber tread on one side of the sock as opposed to, human
No, I
flesh.
think
We're
it's-
just gonna,
Okay.
and, concrete, cement, pavement underneath.
Well, I can tell you she dragged her feet. Because there were leaves on the ground and she was actually dragging her feet. The leaves were getting kicked up. So yeah, she was dragging her feet. She didn't have a normal gait that anyone can experience. A child doesn't always pick up their feet when they walk. They tend to drag their feet.
You don't know how Brendan Creato walked, right?
I do not, sir.
And while you tested with the scale for weight of the child, I guess, for pressure,
Yes.
you didn't test for height, right?
No, I did not.
Or leg length, right?
I did not.
Or gait, or anything like that, right?
No.
So, when this child's walking, shuffling her feet, she may be walking in a very different way that potentially could pick up a lot more debris, don't you think?
Absolutely.
And as the socks fray, that fray is more likely to pick up, hold on to debris and leaves and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
You knew Detective Sergeant Norcross had conducted this walk. His socks didn't fray, right?
Correct. I was with him when he did that.
I know you were. He didn't have a rubber tread between the sock and the pavement, right? Or if the sock wasn't between the rubber tread of his shoe and the pavement, because he went otherwise barefoot, right?
Well, he lifted his feet up when he walked.
There was no video taken of the child's walk, right?
No.
And the photographs that you said that were at the bottom of the socks are just the photographs we saw. There's no other photographs that you know of that actually stopped and took photographs along the way of where and when the dirt came, right?
No, it was my decision not to videotape her because I didn't want, she was talking during the course of the walk, so I'm trying to protect her.
Look,
So she wasn't videotaped because we had already videotaped it with Sergeant Norcross, so you had an indication of what the lighting situation was and the walk. So no, I made the decision not to videotape her.
Captain, just because you videotaped it doesn't mean you have the audio recorded, you put it silent, right? We wouldn't have to hear those little talk now.
No, it was my decision not to videotape it. The photographs were sufficient for me.
Understood. But you do agree with me, you didn't have to have audio to do video, right?
Correct.
And to the extent, and I appreciate that you want to protect your little helper's privacy, I get it, you did not make a decision to videotape just from the knees down, your knees down, her knees down, or anything like that, right?
I just wanted her feet photographed at the beginning, and I wanted her feet photographed at the end.
Okay, not during the way, so you could be able to say when and where the dirt, debris, et cetera, got on, right?
No.
Ultimately, you said that because there were no signs of sexual assault, the pajamas aren't consent, correct? And then you interviewed 15 sex offenders, right?
Yes.
When you saw Brendan's body, you do recall that his buttocks was exposed, right?
Yes.
Were you aware at the time that you made the decision not to send the pajamas, which, if I understand what you said, was up until the day before the trial started at the time, right? That there was never a rape kit or DNA test done by the medical examiner's office, rectally or orally?
There was no signs, from my understanding of the autopsy, that the child had been sexually assaulted. And when you looked at the pajamas, the way he was laying, it appeared that you can almost see that he was picked up from the bottom of his dome. So as you're saying his butt was exposed, it wasn't fully exposed, but it appears that it looks like someone actually may have lifted him up and put him in the water, laid him in the water.
Well, I understand that that's been, everybody who's testified on his position, but it could also be somebody hurriedly pulling his pants back up, right? You don't know that that's what
It
happened.
didn't appear to me to be that, no.
No, of course. So, no signs of sexual assault, you begin your investigation of 15 sex offenders, right?
Correct.
Sex offenders who live in Haddon Township?
Yes.
What about sex offenders that work in Haddon Township?
No, we didn't conduct those interviews, just in that area.
Captain, Haddon Township is about 2.5 square miles.
Yes.
So this wasn't done based on, say, a radius from the apartment at Cooper in Virginia. It was done on a geographical...
I requested the registered sex offenders for that.
And my right, Haddon Township actually has two different places that are coterminous from each other, like there's a complete break in where Haddon Township is.
Yes.
So, potentially, a sex offender could live between the two places of Haddon Township that are geographically entirely insular from each other. In between those two places, and he wouldn't be interviewed, right?
Yes.
Okay. There was no regard in your investigation of these sex offenders of where the offense that put them on the Megan's Law registration occurred, right?
No.
So, for example, if someone lived 5 miles away, but the offense for which they're on Megan's Law and the sex offender registry occurred in Haddon Township, that isn't a person you interviewed, right?
And I strictly just asked for the registered sex offenders in Haddon Township. I didn't go into who was sexually assaulted, where the sexual assault occurred. I just contacted them and asked in proximity to Haddon Township the registered sex offenders in the area.
So, for example, if someone committed a sexual assault 15 years ago in Kansas and now just lives in Haddon Township, that person got interviewed, right?
Correct.
And if a person lives 3 miles away but not in Haddon Township, but molested a 3-year-old boy in Haddon Township a year ago, that person wouldn't, right?
Correct. But I also spoke with Detective Young, who is the supervisor for the Megan's Law, and I asked if there was anybody else that she believed that I should interview. And She provided the list, and she said, these are the names, and that's the names you remember. If anyone else suspicious, or anyone else I can promise you, sir, they would have been interviewed.
Well,
Any flags were flown, of any suspicion, we would have conducted a thorough interview of those individuals.
the actual offense that the individuals you interviewed had been convicted for, that wasn't a consideration, right?
We didn't have what they were convicted of. We had on the list was their tiering, the level tier they were, and their addresses. That was it.
So again, whether it was molestation of a little boy or an adult date rape, acquaintance rape, you wouldn't use that in determining who you should interview, right?
At that time, no, but when we completed the interviews and we got a complete list, we were able to view the individuals and what they were charged with, what they were accused of. But at the time we received the list from Melissa Young, from Detective Young at the prosecutor's office on that Friday, we only had their names, their address, and what tier they were.
So after you went through this, you didn't expand that search at all or try to limit it to individuals who specifically molested boys or children or were in a geographic radius as opposed to a
I'm going to
geographic...
answer that if there was any suspicion of anyone else that needed to be interviewed, we would have conducted those interviews.
Well, we just have to take you on your word with that, okay?
Correct.
And you didn't have the list of individuals or what they did, so it's really, your decision is limited by the information you have.
And speaking to Detective Young, who monitors these registered sex offenders and had been in the unit for numerous years. So yes, if she provided additional name or told me to go interview someone that's suspicious or stood out to her, 100% we would have went out and interviewed that person.
Now, when you interviewed these people, you said local hungry.
Yes.
They all tell you that they didn't do it or they had an alibi or something like that, right?
They were all extremely cooperative. They weren't always all pleased that we interviewed them, but they were all cooperative.
So, Kathy, your position was that the individuals who agreed to sit down and talk to police and answer their questions were believable because they're cooperative and wrote them off your list, right?
Well, and based on my experience and the experienced detectives that conducted these interviews, the detectives that did the interviews weren't 1 or 2 year detectives. They were all seasoned detectives that conducted the interviews. So, yes, based on their experience and my experience on the interviews I conducted, there were no red flags for any of these registered sex offenders.
All of these 15 people who were limited to living, not necessarily limited to living in that township. These are all people who were already convicted, right?
Yes.
None of them were on a list of pedophiles before they were convicted, right?
Meaning were they ever on, no, not the, they, ask that question.
Sure, Captain. If a pedophile is out there and never gets caught, or if a pedophile is out there and is committing his first offense, he's not on Megan's Law video, right?
He is not.
Yeah, in the same way we have to rely on the information you got from Detective Young and when you got it, we also have to rely on your assessment of the credibility of these people that you spoke to, the other detectives, the assessment of the credibility of these people, right?
Yes.
And assessing that credibility among all the other signs and techniques that detectives use, like body language, and whether or not they're looking up or looking down and have good answers or can be corroborated. The fact that they were willing to sit down and get a straight answer and answer all your questions is part, a significant part of why you ultimately found them to be credible and didn't go in any further investigation. Right? Correct. Do you have any paperwork with you?
I do not.
Other than 15 individuals that were on this list, you said you interviewed a total of about 20.
Yes.
Without giving the names, I understand that that's confidential. Who are the other 5 people?
Some of them were family members. Some of them were employees of these individuals.
So allies.
Yes.
So if my math's right, 15 minus 5 is 10 people for whom you didn't have each individual as an outlier, right?
Correct.
Some people said they were by themselves, right?
Someone said, yeah, they were out of town.
Some people were home playing video games,
Yes.
home asleep,
Yes.
or by themselves.
Correct.
Detective, I don't think I have anything else for you. Just one moment. I'm sorry.
You're not an enemy, you're okay.
Yeah, I have no questions, thanks.
Here, your direct counsel.
Very briefly, Judge. Captain Talaine testified that you were able to travel down that trail in the dark without the use of a flashlight. Do you recall that testimony?
I do.
Do you recall that a light was required to locate the trail?
Yes.
Okay, and what kind of a light was used?
We used a flashlight at the top to start to head down, but we were trying to show the darkness and we turned the flashlight on. So
Okay.
yes, we did use.
So you had a flashlight with you,
Of
correct?
course I did. Rat that ran across everyone.
I'm sorry, Judge.
I think that's all I have. Thank you, Captain.
Very briefly on that. So, Captain, you actually could get there without a flashlight, right?
We walked down, we got to the path, we used the flashlight just to head down to the path, to walk down the hill.
I understand. Because you needed to have a flashlight in order to see where you can set yourself up to do the dark walk down the path. The natural footpath, right?
I would say natural footpath, there's, you can see tracks where people walk, I wouldn't say it's a natural footpath, yes.
I mean natural, it's not paved, nobody dug it out or anything like that. It's only there because people walk up and down.
Correct.
It's naturally formed by humans and dogs walking up and down.
Correct.
You wouldn't have been able to do it, say, from the entrance of the park to the location where the body was, your position, you could do it without a flashlight. You actually did use a flashlight.
We did use a flashlight.
Okay. You just didn't, you shut the flashlight off to go down the narrow path.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sit down.
I was just jury. 2 minutes past one, I don't know if I'm going to extra breaks this morning, so we're going to now have our lunch recess. So it'll be a 1-hour recess. We'll pick up again at 1:35, so everybody has an hour for lunch. So discuss any aspects of the case on yourselves or attending counsel. So we'll be back here at 1:35.
Judge, I'm sorry, before you release the jury, could you please
Okay?
Okay, sorry. Okay. Thanks, sir.
Okay. With that, have a great lunch. I'll see everybody back now at 1:37. Be private with it.